What would you do if your voice was stolen, but your hands could speak louder than words? The gallows stand empty this morning in the town of Butuan, where justice wears a blindfold and mercy comes armed. Wyatt Wheeler cleans his rifle in the pre-dawn quiet of the sheriff's office. 3 years wearing the badge. 3 years of order over chaos. 3 years since he stopped believing in anything but the law. The dust hasn't settled from yesterday's hanging. Another thief. Another life ended with the pull of a lever. He doesn't think about their faces anymore, just the paperwork. But today something shifts in the air. The kind of stillness that comes before lightning. Harper Sullivan bursts through the door. Deputy, 23, still believes heroes exist. Sheriff, we got a problem. Wyatt doesn't look up from his rifle. There's always a problem. They're bringing in the Ramos widow. Says she killed her husband. Now Wyatt looks up. The Ramos widow. He's seen her at the market. Small, silent, moves like a ghost through the crowds. Never speaks, can't speak. Born without a voice, they say. When? Harper shifts his weight. Last night, found him dead in their cabin, knife in his chest, her hands covered in blood. Wyatt sets down his rifle, methodical, precise, the way he does everything now. Witnesses, none. But Sheriff... Harper's voice drops. You know what kind of man Elijah Ramos was. Wyatt's jaw tightens. Yeah, he knows. The bruises he'd seen on quiet market days. The way she'd flinch when any man came near. The way Elijah would grab her arm like she was property. Doesn't matter what kind of man he was. Law is law. Harper's eyes flash. She can't even speak to defend herself. Then she'll hang silent. The words taste like ash, but Wyatt says them anyway. This is who he is now, the man who upholds order, not the man who questions it. They bring her in at sunrise. Eria Ramos, 26 years old, hands bound, head high, blood still under her fingernails. The crowd gathers early. They always do for a hanging. Entertainment in a town where entertainment means watching someone die. Wyatt reads the charges. Murder in the first degree. The evidence is clear. The blood, the knife, the body, open and shut. She doesn't plead, can't plead, just stands there with eyes that hold no fear, no anger, just resignation, like she's been dying long before today. The judge arrives by noon. Henry Morris, circuit judge who believes in swift justice, the kind that doesn't ask questions. This won't take long, he tells Wyatt. Mute or not, murder is murder. The trial is a formality. No defense attorney. Who'd defend? A mute widow with blood on her hands? The prosecutor presents his case. Lucas Turner, young, ambitious, sees this as an easy win. The deceased Elijah Ramos, pillar of our community. Wyatt's hand tightens on his gun. Pillar. Right. The kind of pillar that leaves bruises. Found dead in his home. Knife wound to the chest. The defendant found beside him, covered in his blood. The crowd murmurs, some with sympathy, most with judgment. No witnesses to speak otherwise. No evidence of struggle. Just a wife who finally snapped. Turner's voice rings with certainty. The law demands justice. The law demands death. Aria sits silent, always silent. Her dark hair falls across her face like a curtain, hiding whatever truth her voice can't speak. Wyatt watches her. Something gnaws at him, the way she holds herself. Not like a killer, like someone who's given up, like someone who's been fighting a different kind of death for years. The judge barely deliberates. Guilty, death by hanging. Tomorrow at dawn, the crowd disperses. Another show over, another life marked for ending. Wyatt escorts her to the cell. Her steps are steady, no tears, no struggle, just acceptance. He locks the door, turns to leave, then stops. Her eyes meet his, and in them he sees something that makes his chest tight. Not guilt, not innocence, just exhaustion. The exhaustion of someone who's been screaming silently for years, and no one bothered to listen. Night falls over Butuan like a burial shroud. Wyatt Wheeler sits at his desk pretending to read reports, but his eyes keep drifting to the cell door. Behind it, Aria Ramos waits for dawn, silent as always. Silent as death. Harper Sullivan enters carrying coffee, black, strong, the way they both need it on nights like this. Can't sleep either. Wyatt doesn't answer, just takes the cup. The warmth does nothing for the cold in his gut. Harper sets something. On the desk, a leather journal, worn, water-stained, found this in the Ramos cabin, hidden under a floorboard. Wyatt's hand hovers over it. Evidence? Harper shrugs. Trial's over, doesn't matter now. But Sheriff, you might want to read it. The younger man leaves. Wyatt stares at the journal. He shouldn't care. The law has spoken. Justice will be done. But his hands open it anyway. The first page stops his breath, not words, drawings, sketch after sketch in charcoal and pencil, a woman's hands telling stories the way mouths tell lies, each drawing dated, each one darker than the last. January, hands holding wildflowers. February, hands pressed against a window. March, hands raised in defense. April, hands covered in bruises. Wyatt turns the pages. His coffee grows cold. May, hands trying to cover a black eye. June, hands clutching broken ribs. July, hands reaching for help that never comes. The drawings shift, become more desperate, more detailed. A man's face appears, Elijah Ramos, drawn. With savage precision, every cruel line captured, every moment of rage preserved. August, hands around a throat. September, hands begging. October, hands giving up. And then November, last week, the final drawing, a knife. Not in attack, in defense. Hands pushing away, hands trying to live, hands that found metal instead of mercy. Wyatt closes the journal. His own hands shake, self-defense. It was self-defense. And she can't say it, can't scream it, can only draw it in pictures no one bothered to find. He stands, walks to the cells, opens the viewing slot. Aria sits on the narrow cot. Moonlight through barred windows paints silver lines across her face. She's drawing in the dust on the floor, the same hands, always the same hands, trying to speak the only way she can. Wyatt's throat burns. 3 years of following the law, 3 years of order over conscience, 3 years of pretending justice. Is blind when really it's just deaf. He thinks of tomorrow's dawn, the rope, the lever, the drop. Another life ended in the name of law, but this time the life belongs to someone who fought back against a different kind of death. A slower kind, the kind that comes with bruises and broken bones and silent screams. Mrs. Ramos. She looks up. Those tired eyes meet his. He holds up the journal, watches understanding dawn on her face. Not hope. She's past hope. Just recognition. Someone finally sees. Someone finally understands. Too late. But someone knows. Wyatt returns to his desk, sets the journal down, stares at it like it might explode. The law is clear. Murder is murder. The judge has ruled. The sentence stands, but for the first time in 3 years, Wyatt Wheeler wonders if following the law and doing what's right are two different things. Outside, thunder rolls across the sky. That lightning he felt coming this morning finally finds its voice. Rain begins to fall, washing the dust from the streets, but not the blood. From his conscience, he opens the journal again, studies each drawing, each silent testimony, each mute scream for help. The clock ticks toward dawn, each second a countdown, each moment a choice: follow the law or follow what's right. For 3 years the choice was easy. Tonight, with rain drumming on the roof and a woman's life hanging by a thread and truth drawn, in charcoal and desperation, tonight the choice tears him in half. 4 hours until sunrise. Wyatt Wheeler loads his rifle, checks his pistol. The familiar motions of a man preparing for what must be done, but his hands won't steady. Harper Sullivan returns. Finds his sheriff staring at that journal like it holds the secrets of the universe. Storms getting worse. Roads are flooding. Judge Morris won't make it back for the hanging. Wyatt looks up. First time in hours. What? Harper repeats it. Bridge. Washed out. We'd have to postpone. A reprieve. Not salvation, but time. Wyatt stands, his decision crystallizing like ice in his veins. Get Judge Morris on the telegraph. Tell him the prisoner escaped. Harper's eyes widen. Sheriff, you heard me, but she hasn't. She will. The two men stare at each other, master and apprentice, law and conscience, order and justice. Harper's voice drops. You'll lose your badge. Maybe worse. Wyatt picks up the cell keys. Some things are worse than losing a badge, like hanging an innocent woman. Harper could stop him, could sound the alarm, could choose order. Instead, he steps aside. 10 minutes, Sheriff. That's all I can give you before I have to report this. Wyatt nods, opens the cell door. Aria Ramos looks up, confusion in those dark eyes. Then understanding as he gestures to the door, go. She doesn't move. Can't believe it. 3 years she's lived in a cage, first with Elijah, now with the law. Freedom feels like another trap. Wyatt pulls out the journal, presses it into her hands. Your testimony, take it. Find somewhere they'll listen. She stands slowly, like she's forgotten how. Her fingers trace the journal's cover, all those silent screams finally heard. Then she does something that stops Wyatt's heart. She speaks. One word. Barely a whisper, rough from years of silence. But there, Wyatt. His name, from lips that haven't formed words since childhood, since whatever. Tragedy stole her voice, but not her soul. You can speak. She touches her throat, shakes her head. Not can't, won't, wouldn't. A choice made long ago. Another word fights free, painful, necessary. Thank you. 2 words. That's all. Then she's gone. Slipping into the storm like smoke into night, Wyatt stands in the empty cell. Those 2 words echoing, the first time she's spoken in God knows how long, and she spent them on gratitude. Harper appears. She's gone? Yeah. Good. Harper pauses. What do we do now? Now. Wyatt walks back to his desk. Now we face the consequences. The Daju. Telegraph starts clicking. Judge Morris demanding answers. By dawn, the whole town will know. The sheriff who let a murderer escape. The lawman who broke his oath. But Wyatt thinks of those drawings, those hands telling truth, that voice breaking silence just to say, thank you. Let them come. Harper brings fresh coffee. They sit together, waiting for the storm to break. Both kinds. You know what they'll say, that you went soft, lost your nerve. Wyatt sips his coffee, thinks of 3 years of unflinching duty, 3 years of the law above all. Maybe I found it instead. The rain hammers harder. Somewhere out there, Aria Ramos runs. Toward freedom. Toward a life where her silence is a choice, not a sentence. The telegraph keeps clicking, angry messages piling up. The mayor, the judge, the state marshal, all demanding blood. Wyatt ignores them all, pulls out paper, starts writing his resignation. Some, and things you can't come back from. Some lines once crossed change you forever, but as lightning illuminates the night and thunder shakes the foundation of everything he thought he believed, Wyatt Wheeler feels something he hasn't felt in 3 years. Peace. The cell door hangs open. Empty now, but somehow fuller than it's ever been, full of possibility, full of choices, full of the echo of a woman's voice saying the only words that matter. Thank you for breaking the law, for choosing mercy, for hearing what silence screams. Dawn will come. Consequences will follow. The easy order of his old life will shatter, but tonight in this moment with rain washing the world clean, justice finally has a voice, even if it cost him everything else. Dawn breaks angry over Butuan. The gallows stand empty. The crowd gathered for death finds only disappointment. Mayor William Black arrives first. face purple with rage, boots striking the wooden platform like a judge's gavel. "Where is she, Wheeler?" Wyatt stands below. Badge, still pinned to his chest. For now, gone. Black descends the steps, each footfall a threat. Gone. Convicted murderers don't just go. This one did, the crowd murmurs. Shock rippling through them like waves through water. Their sheriff, their law, broken. Lucas Turner pushes forward, the prosecutor who won so easily. "This is treason, Wheeler, aiding a condemned criminal." Wyatt meets his stare. Steady. Calm. Then, "Arrest me." Harper Sullivan watches from the sheriff's office, his hand on his gun, not to arrest, to defend. Judge Morris arrives by horseback, mud-splattered, furious. "Rode all night around the washed-out bridge. You've destroyed everything." 3 years of order, 3 years of building trust in the law. Wyatt pulls the journal from his coat, holds it high. What about 30 years of silence? What about the truth that couldn't speak? He opens it, shows the drawings, the progression of violence, the desperate testimony of hands that had no voice. The crowd leans in. Some gasp. Others turn away. The brutal honesty too much for morning light. Grace Hawkins steps forward, the minister's wife, known for her kindness. "I saw the bruises." "We all did." "Then why didn't you speak?" Wyatt's voice carries. "Why didn't any of us?" Silence falls. The uncomfortable kind. The kind that admits guilt. Because Elijah Ramos was a man of standing. Because Aria was just a mute woman. Because it was easier to look away. Judge Morris snatches the journal, flips through it, his face paling with each page. "This proves nothing. Drawings aren't evidence." Wyatt laughs. Bitter, sharp. "Neither is silence. But you condemned her for it." The mayor signals. 2 deputies step forward. Not Harper. Others. The ones who follow orders without thinking. "Wyatt Wheeler, you're under arrest." Wyatt doesn't resist, hands over his gun, his badge, the symbols of authority he no longer believes in. But before they take him, wait. A voice from the crowd. Old, weathered. Elijah Freeman, the town's oldest resident, veteran of wars everyone else forgot. He climbs the platform, slow but steady. "I knew Aria's mother before she died." Before Aria stopped speaking, the crowd stills. Even the mayor pauses. She could talk. Beautiful voice, like a songbird. Until the night her father came home drunk, beat her mother to death while Aria watched. 5 years old, hidden in a closet. Screaming, Freeman's eyes find Wyatt. She never spoke again. Not couldn't, wouldn't. What's the point of words when no? One listens to screams. The journal makes sense now. The drawings, the only voice she allowed herself, the only testimony that couldn't be silenced. Freeman continues. Then she married Elijah, or rather, was sold to him. And the cycle continued. Until she finally fought back, finally found her hands could do what her voice couldn't. Stop him. Judge Morris slams the journal shut. Speculation, hearsay. The law is clear. Wyatt speaks up. One last time. "Yes, the law is clear. Clear as a noose. Clear as injustice. Clear as our conscience when we let it happen." They lead him away. But something has shifted. In the crowd. In the air. In the space between law and justice. Grace Hawkins speaks first. "This isn't right." Others join her. Quietly at first. Then louder. The minister's wife has given them permission to care. The mayor shouts for order. The judge threatens consequences. But the storm that's been building for years finally breaks. Not violence, not rebellion, just voices, finally speaking what they should have said long ago. "We knew, we all knew, and we did nothing." Harper Sullivan steps out, pins his deputy badge to the platform rail. "If standing for what's right is illegal, then I stand." With Wheeler. One badge, then another. James Newton, Logan Barnes, deputies choosing conscience. The mayor blusters, the judge threatens, but their authority cracks like ice in spring. Because somewhere out there Aria Ramos runs free, and here in the town square her silence finally speaks, through the journal, through the truth, through one sheriff who chose to listen. The storm passes, but the flood remains, washing away the old order, leaving questions where certainty once stood. What is justice when the law is deaf? What is order when it orders silence? What is righteousness when it hangs the righteous? The empty gallows creak in the morning wind, a monument now to what almost was, to what always was, to what never should be again. 3 days pass. Wyatt Wheeler sits in a cell that once held Aria Ramos. Irony tastes like rust and righteous fury. Harper Sullivan brings meals, still wearing civilian clothes, his badge gathering dust with 5 others. Any word? Harper shakes his head. Judge Morris wants you transported to the state capitol. Federal charges, aiding a fugitive, obstruction of justice. Wyatt almost laughs. Justice. They keep using that word. Harper leans closer. But half the town won't let them move you. Grace Hawkins has organized a group. They're calling it the Silent Witness Society. Now Wyatt does laugh, short, sharp, like breaking glass. Not so silent anymore. Harper produces something from his coat. A letter. No postmark. No address. Just Wyatt's name in careful script. From her. Harper nods. James Newton found it nailed to a tree outside town. Wyatt's hands tremble as he opens it. Not words. Another drawing. But this one different. Not hands in pain, hands in prayer, hands holding flowers. Hands reaching toward sunrise, and at the bottom 2 words written in that same careful script. Freedom speaks. Wyatt folds the letter, tucks it close to his heart. She made it out. Found her voice. Found her life. Worth it. Worth everything. That night brings visitors. Not officials, townspeople, one by one, bearing witness. Olivia Foster first. The school teacher. I taught Aria when she was young, before she stopped speaking. Brightest child I ever knew. I failed her. Then Henry Hawkins. The minister himself. My wife is right. We preached compassion but practiced cowardice. God forgive us. Lillian Nash, who runs the general store. Elijah bought rope from me last month, said it was for his barn. But Aria's wrists, I should have known. One by one they come. Confessing silence. Seeking absolution from the man who broke the law to uphold humanity. Before we continue, comment. Where you're watching from. Some stories need witnesses across all distances. Morning brings unexpected hope. A rider from the capital, not military, not official. A woman, Scarlett Freeman, the governor's secretary, and Elijah Freeman's daughter, she, enters the sheriff's office like she owns it, which in a way she does. Governor's heard about the situation. Interesting perspective. A sheriff who prevents judicial murder. Mayor Black sputters. It was legal execution. Scarlett's eyes could cut steel. Of a woman defending herself against years of documented abuse? Yes, very legal, very just, very civilized. She produces documents, official seals, gubernatorial weight. The governor is reviewing all capital sentences involving those who cannot speak for themselves. Effective immediately, she turns to Wyatt's cell. As for you, Sheriff Wheeler, or should I say former Sheriff Wheeler, Wyatt stands, ready for judgment. The governor is interested in men who choose conscience over convenience, men who hear what others ignore. She slides a paper through the bars. Special investigator, territorial marshal, answering only to the governor. Your job would be to review cases like Aria's, to be the voice for the voiceless. Wyatt stares at the paper, a badge on a different path, authority with purpose. But first, Scarlett continues, you'll need to be pardoned, which requires a hearing with testimony from the town about what really happened here. She smiles, sharp as winter dawn. Shall we see how many find their voices now? The hearing convenes at noon, not in the courthouse. In the town square, under the empty gallows, Judge Morris presides. Reluctant but bound by gubernatorial order, Mayor Black presents the case against Wyatt. Clear, simple, a sheriff who broke his oath. Then the town speaks. Emma Castro first, midwife who delivered half the county. I treated Arya's injuries: broken ribs, bruised organs, burns from cooking pots thrown in rage. I documented it all. No one wanted to see. She produces medical records, years of them, evidence that was always there, always ignored. Mason Turner rises, Lucas Turner's own father. My son prosecuted an innocent woman, but I stayed silent. We all did. That's the real crime here, one by one, hour by hour. The truth tumbles out, not just about Arya, about Chloe Newton, whose husband drinks and swings, about Layla Bennett, trapped in her father's house, about all the silent sufferers in a town that prefers order to justice. By evening, the crowd has swelled, not just from Butuan, from neighboring towns. Word spreads like wildfire. A sheriff who listened, a town finding its voice. Judge Morris's gavel falls, his voice thick with something like shame. In light of testimony presented, in recognition of circumstances, by order of the territorial governor, Wyatt Wheeler is pardoned and offered the position of territorial marshal for voiceless justice. The crowd erupts, not in anger, in something more powerful. Hope. Wyatt emerges. In from the cell, takes the new badge, heavier than the old one, weighted with purpose. Harper Sullivan grins. Congratulations, Marshal. What's your first act? Wyatt looks at the gallows, those wooden bones of legal murder. Tear it down. Every board, every nail. Build something else. What? Wyatt thinks of Arya's drawings, of hands reaching for help, of voices trapped in silence, a sanctuary, where the voiceless can speak, where the trapped can escape, where justice listens before it judges. The sun sets on Butuan, but something new rises, not just a building, a promise, that silence will no longer be a sentence, that bruises will be believed, that sometimes the law must break to let justice breathe, and somewhere beyond, the horizon, Arya Ramos watches the same sunset, free, speaking when she chooses, silent when she needs, her story ended, but her truth just beginning to change the world. 6 months later, where Gallows once stood, something new grows, brick by brick, hope by hope, the sanctuary of silent voices. Wyatt Wheeler oversees construction. Marshal's badge catching sunlight, different weight now, purpose instead of power. Harper Sullivan hauls lumber. Deputy Marshal now, following a different law, the kind written in conscience. Grace Hawkins arrives, arms full of donated books for the library, where truth can be written when it can't be spoken. They've come from everywhere. Sophia Turner from 2 counties over, bruises hidden under powder, until she heard about the place where silence isn't shame. Noah Vincent from the mining camps, voice destroyed by coal dust, but his hands can testify to safety violations that killed 12 men. Even children, Leo Morris, 8 years old, won't speak since his mother died, but draws pictures of what his father does when the whiskey takes hold. The sanctuary rises, 3 stories of stone and timber, windows facing all directions. So light. Comes from everywhere. Ground floor, safe rooms, where the fleeing can rest, where the hunted can hide, where healing begins. 2nd floor, the testimony hall. Tables for drawing, walls for signing, space for every silent language. 3rd floor, justice chambers, where Wyatt and his deputies review cases, where evidence includes more than words. The town changes too, slowly, painfully, like healing always is. Lucas Turner resigns, can't prosecute anymore, not after what he almost did, studies instead to defend, to be the voice he once silenced. Judge Morris retires, recommends Scarlett Freeman as his replacement. A judge who knows silence can scream. Even Mayor Black adapts, political survival instinct. Proposes town funding for the sanctuary. Progress wears many masks, but not everyone celebrates. Ethan Hawkins leads the resistance, the minister's own son. Different from his parents, believes in order, the old kind. This is madness. Criminals walking free. Women leaving their husbands. Children defying fathers. Where does it end? He gathers followers. Men who liked the world when it was simpler. When silence meant compliance. When order meant obedience. They meet at night. Plan their response. Not violence, not yet, but pressure, boycotts, threats, intimidation. The sanctuary must fall, or their world will. Wyatt knows they're coming, can feel it building, like thunder before lightning, like silence before screams. He prepares, not with weapons, with witnesses, every person saved, every truth revealed, every life changed. They become the defense. Then she returns. Dawn on the 6th month, a rider approaching, small, careful, moving like memory. Aria Ramos, but transformed, head high, eyes clear, wearing clothes that fit instead of hide. She dismounts at the sanctuary, touches the stone walls like she can't believe they're real. Wyatt meets her at the door, no words needed. Yet, she produces a leather satchel. Thick with pages, drawings, testimonies, 6 months of traveling, 6 months of finding others, stories from beyond Butuan, silent voices everywhere, waiting for someone to listen. She opens her mouth, still difficult, still painful, but necessary. Marshall, that, your voice, rough from disuse, strong from choice. I found them, dozens, hundreds, hidden in shadows, trapped in silence. They need this. She gestures at the sanctuary, at what stands where death once ruled. They need hope. Wyatt takes the satchel, feels its weight, not just paper, lives, stories, truth. Will you stay? Help us build more, Aria considers, looks at the town that once condemned her, that now builds refugees. She nods, then speaks again, each word a victory, not just stay, lead, teach, show them. Silence is power, when you choose it. Prison when it's forced. That night the sanctuary opens, officially, finally, lanterns in every window, light against darkness. The resistors come. Ethan Hawkins leading, torches and anger. The old weapons, but they find the square full, not of supporters, of witnesses, every person the sanctuary helped, standing silent, by choice, in power. Sophia Turner holds a candle. Noah Vincent raises a sign. Leo Morris grips his mother's photo. And Aria Ramos stands center, where the gallows once stood, where she almost died, where she now lives. She raises her hand. The crowd stills. Even the resistors pause. When she speaks, her voice carries, not loud, but clear. You fear us, not because we're wrong. Because we're right. Because we prove silence was never consent, just survival. Ethan steps forward. This is not God's way. Aria meets his eyes. Neither was crucifixion, but resurrection followed. The standoff holds. Torches against candles, anger against truth. Old, order against new. Then Grace Hawkins moves. The minister's wife stands between her son and the sanctuary. Choose, Ethan, fear or love, control or compassion, the gallows or the sanctuary. Others join her, creating a human wall, not of defiance, of defense. The sanctuary stands behind them, 3 stories of stone promise, windows glowing like eyes, watching, waiting, welcoming. Ethan. Hawkins wavers. His followers shift. The torches lower, not tonight, but someday. The threat lingers. The old order dies hard. They retreat, but everyone knows this is not over, just beginning. Wyatt watches them go, then turns to Aria. You saved us tonight. She almost smiles. No, Marshall, we saved each other. That's what sanctuary means. The first residents arrive at midnight, a woman from 3 towns over, twin boys who won't speak about what happened in the orphanage. Aria welcomes them, in sign language, in drawings, in the perfect understanding of shared silence. The sanctuary doors close, but its windows stay lit, a beacon in the darkness, a promise in the night, that here, finally, the voiceless have a voice, and the world must listen. Winter comes harsh to Butuan, ice on the windows, snow on the graves. The sanctuary stands warm against the cold. 3 months since opening, 40 souls sheltered, 40 lives changed, 40 threats to the old order. Ethan Hawkins watches from his church, his father's church, where sermons once preached love, now they whisper fear. The women grow bold, leave their rightful places. The children rebel, question their betters. Where does it end? His followers listen. Men displaced from their thrones, angry at the changing world. William Boone, James Brady, Logan Holland. They meet in secret, plan in shadow. The sanctuary must fall. But how? Fire would make martyrs. Violence would bring federal troops. No. Something subtler, something legal. Then Ethan smiles, cold as winter dawn, property law. The sanctuary sits on town land, land that can be reclaimed. For the public good, he has allies on the council. Enough to force a vote, enough to destroy without lifting. A weapon, but first discredit. Make the sanctuary seem dangerous, turn the town against it. Fear is stronger than hope. They start with whispers. That woman from Carson Creek probably killed her husband, just like the Ramos widow. Those boys from the orphanage, thieves and liars, corrupting our children. Noah Vincent, a troublemaker, trying to shut down the mines, cost good men their jobs. The whispers grow, become shouts. Some citizens waver. Progress is frightening. Order was comfortable. Wyatt feels the shift, like ice cracking underfoot. Calls a meeting, all the marshals, all the sanctuary residents. We knew this would come. Fear fighting hope, past strangling future. But we're not helpless. Arya stands, still quiet mostly, but when she speaks, the room listens. They want us silent again, want us ashamed, want us invisible, but we have something they don't expect. She pauses, that old power of choosing when to speak. Each other. She's right. Every person here survived something, escaped something, chose voice over void. Together, we're unbreakable. Harper Sullivan nods. We need to show the town, not argue. Show. Let them see what silence hid. Emma Castro agrees. Open house. Let them meet us, hear our stories, see our humanity. 3 days to prepare. 3 days to hope. 3 days before the council votes. They work together, cooking, cleaning, preparing. Each room tells a story. Each wall holds truth. Sophia Turner creates a gallery, drawings of her journey, from bruises to boldness, from victim to victor. The orphans perform a play, silent, powerful, showing what words couldn't, moving grown men to tears. Noah Vincent builds a memorial, 12 candles, 12 names, 12 men who died because he couldn't speak up. Until now. The morning of the open house dawn breaks strange. Red sky, black clouds. Storm coming, but people come anyway, curious, cautious, some to support, some to spy. Grace Hawkins leads tours. This room sheltered Ella Fleming. Her husband broke her jaw. She couldn't scream for help. Now she teaches sign language. This hall housed Jackson Larson, born deaf, beaten for it, called stupid, worthless. Now he designs buildings, like this one. Story after story, room after room. The mathematics of misery transform to hope. Even some doubters soften. Hard to hate what you understand. Hard to fear what has a face. But Ethan Hawkins doesn't come. Doesn't need to. He's gathered. The council, emergency session. While the town is distracted, the vote is called. 5 for reclaiming the land, 4 against. 1 abstaining. The sanctuary has 30 days. Then it belongs to the town, to be demolished for the public good. When word reaches the open house, silence falls. The wrong kind, the defeated kind, until Arya speaks. No one word, but it rings like a bell. We didn't survive silence to be silenced again. We didn't find our voices to lose them to cowards who vote in shadows. She turns to Wyatt. Marshal, that satchel I brought. The testimonies from other towns. How many? Wyatt's eyes widen, understanding dawning. Over 200, Arya nods. 200 voices. 200 witnesses. 200 reasons this sanctuary must stand. She addresses the crowd. They want to tear down these walls. But walls can be rebuilt. What we've built is stronger, a network, a movement. A chorus of the silenced finally singing. Harper steps forward. The federal prosecutor in Carson City, Judge Freeman's cousin. He owes me a favor. Lucas Turner joins him. Property law has limits, especially when civil rights are being violated. I'll file the appeal tonight. One by one, allies emerge. From unexpected places. The banker who saw his sister die in silence. The shopkeeper whose daughter ran away from abuse. Even Henry Hawkins, Ethan's own father, steps forward. Tears on his weathered face. I renounce my son's actions. This sanctuary stands on holy ground, where compassion trumps control, where Christ would stand. The crowd murmurs. A minister against his son, a father choosing strangers over blood. But that's what sanctuary means. Family isn't blood. It's choice. It's those who hear you when you can't speak. Storm breaks outside. Thunder shaking windows, lightning painting walls, but inside something stronger builds. Not hope, determination. Ethan Hawkins has his vote, his technical victory, his 30 days. But the sanctuary has something more. 200 testimonies, 40 saved souls, a town discovering conscience, and Arya Ramos, who survived legal murder, who found her voice, who stands where Gallows stood and refuses to be moved. The battle lines are drawn. Law against justice, order against humanity, silence against voice. 30 days to save the sanctuary. 30 days to prove that some buildings are made of more than stone. The open house ends. People scatter to spread word, to choose sides, to find their voices. But in the sanctuary, 40 souls remain, not running, not hiding, standing together. Where death once ruled life makes its stand. Where silence once reigned truth finds its voice. The war for Butuan's soul has begun. Day 29 of 30. The sanctuary bustles with motion, boxes packed, plans made, but no one leaves. Federal judge arrives tomorrow. Circuit court in session, the appeal that could save them, or end everything. Wyatt Wheeler stands in his office, 3rd floor, corner. Windows, watching the town divide itself. Brother against brother, neighbor against neighbor. Harper Sullivan enters. Carries a telegram. From Carson City, Judge Freeman will hear the case, but Marshall, Wyatt turns, knows that tone. What? Ethan Hawkins hired August Raines, best property lawyer in 3 territories. Never lost a case. Wyatt's jaw tightens. Then, we better make history. Downstairs, Arya works, teaching a new arrival, Mila Nash, 16, hands trembling as she draws what words can't say. You're safe now. Arya signs, speaks when Mila needs to hear. Tomorrow doesn't change that. Whatever happens, you found your voice. Lucas Turner prepares arguments, surrounded by testimonies, 200 stories, 200 proofs that sanctuary saves lives. His father helps. Mason Turner knows every judge, every precedent, every crack in property law where humanity might seep through. This is about more than land. It's about whether silence has rights, whether the voiceless deserve protection. Night falls early, storm clouds gathering, always storms here, like the sky reflects the battle below. Grace Hawkins organizes vigil. Candles in every window, prayers in every language, even silent ones. Her son arrives at midnight. Ethan, alone, no followers, no torches, just a man facing choices. Mother, she doesn't turn from her prayers. Son, this has to stop. You're destroying everything, order, tradition, family. Now she turns, eyes full of sorrow. Not anger. We destroyed those long ago, when we chose silence over screams. He steps closer. These people are criminals, breakaways, rebels. She rises, faces her only child. So was Christ. The words hit like stones. Ethan staggers. That's blasphemy, is it? She touches his face, gentle, sad. Who did Jesus defend? The powerful or powerless, the loud or silent, the judges or judged? Ethan pulls away. The law is clear. Grace nods. So was the law that crucified innocence. Choose which side of the cross you stand on. He leaves without answering, but something in his eyes wavers, cracks, like ice in spring. Dawn brings crowds, hundreds from neighboring towns. The federal courthouse overflows. History in the making. Judge Freeman presides, Scarlett's cousin, fair, fierce, knows the weight of silence. August. Rains speaks first, smooth, confident, the law wrapped in silk. Property rights are sacred, the foundation of civilization. The town council voted, legal, binding. Clear, he paints the sanctuary as chaos incarnate, where criminals hide, where order dies, where society fractures. Lucas Turner rises, David against Goliath. But David had stones. Lucas has stories. Your Honor, we don't dispute property law. We invoke higher law, the right to life, to safety, to voice. He calls witnesses, one by one. Sophia Turner takes the stand, shows her scars, speaks her truth. Without the sanctuary, I'd be dead. Like my sister, like my mother, silence killed them. This place saved me. Noah Vincent follows, brings the memorial candles, 12 flames for 12 lives. I couldn't warn them. Owners threatened my job, my home, my life. The sanctuary gave me courage to speak truth, child after child, woman after woman, man after man. Stories pour forth. August rains objects, repeatedly, desperately, emotional manipulation, irrelevant testimony. This is about property. Judge Freeman's eyes narrow. Is property more valuable than people, Counselor? The question hangs, heavy, waiting. Then Aria Ramos stands, walks to witness chair, the woman who started it all, who broke her silence for 2 words, thank you. She looks at Wyatt, at the man who chose conscience, who traded his badge for something better, then speaks, clear, strong, every word a victory. Your Honor, I was sentenced to die, not for what I did, for what I couldn't say. Marshal Wheeler heard my silent scream, saved my life, started this movement. She pauses, gathering strength. The sanctuary isn't a building, it's a promise that silence won't equal death, that the voiceless have value, that justice listens before it judges. She turns to the packed courtroom, to Ethan Hawkins in the back, to the town wrestling with change. You want to tear it down because it threatens order, but whose order? Built on whose silence? Maintained by whose pain? Her voice rises. Not in volume, in power. I speak now because I choose to. Others remain silent because they choose to. Choice. That's what the sanctuary protects. The right to be heard, the right to be quiet, the right to be human. She steps down, walks past August Rains, past the council members, past everyone, stops at Ethan Hawkins, extends her hand, silent offer. Bridges can be built even at the last moment. He stares at her hand, at the woman he tried to hang, at the proof of redemption, at the choice before him. The courtroom holds its breath. Judge Freeman watches. Everyone watches. Ethan's hand moves, slowly, uncertain, like speaking a new language. He takes her hand, and in that gesture something shifts. The tide turns, not just in the courtroom, in the soul of Butuan. Judge Freeman's gavel falls. The sanctuary stands, protected by federal order, by higher law, by human decency, but more than that, by the voices of the voiceless, by the power of the heard, by the courage of those who choose when to speak and when to let silence sing its own song. The crowd erupts, joy, relief, hope, the sanctuary saved. The movement begun, the future possible, but Aria stands quiet, smile small but real, because she knows this isn't the end. It's the beginning of sanctuaries everywhere, of voices awakening, of silence becoming choice, not sentence. The real victory isn't in the ruling. It's in Ethan's hand taking hers. It's in the town choosing change. It's in the proof that people can grow. That's what sanctuary means. Not just shelter, transformation for all who enter. Even those who resist, especially those who resist. 5 years later, spring in Butuan, cherry blossoms where Gallows stood, life blooming from death's ground. The sanctuary spans the block now, 3 buildings connected, bridges between them like hands reaching. Wyatt Wheeler walks the grounds, hair touched with grey, badge still on his chest but different now, heavier with purpose. 40 sanctuaries across the territories, each one a beacon, each one saving lives. The silent voice movement, they call it now. Harper Sullivan finds him, holds a letter, special delivery, from Washington. Wyatt opens it. Presidential seal. Congress has passed the Ramos Act. Federal protection for those who cannot or choose not to speak, named for her. The woman whose silence started a revolution. Where is she? Harper smiles. Teaching. Where else? 3rd floor. Corner room. Windows on all sides. Light everywhere. No shadows left. Aria Ramos stands before 20 students, teaching sign language, teaching art, teaching the power of chosen silence. Her hair shows silver too. Her hands move like music. Her voice, when she uses it, carries quiet authority. Today we learn about testimony, how truth speaks in many languages, how justice must learn to listen with more than just its ears. A young girl raises her hand. Nova Turner, Lucas's daughter. Born into the new world, named for new stars. Miss Aria, why did you stay after everything? You could have gone anywhere. Aria pauses, considers, then signs and speaks together, because running away doesn't change anything. Staying and changing it does. Besides, she gestures out the window, at the town transformed, at the federal courthouse where silent voice advocates work, at the churches preaching acceptance, at the children playing where fear once ruled. This is home, where I found my voice, where others find theirs, where silence became strength. The class ends, students scatter, but Nova lingers. My father says you saved the town. Aria shakes her head. The town saved itself. By choosing to listen, by choosing to change, by choosing compassion over control. She walks to the window, looks down at the memorial garden, where the gallows stood, where she almost died, where everything changed. Wyatt joins her there. Daily ritual now, silent acknowledgement of how far they've come. The president wants to meet you. Award ceremony for the Ramos Act. Aria considers, then shakes her head, small smile playing. Send. Someone else. Someone who needs to find their voice. My work is here, Wyatt understands, always has, from that first night in the cell. When her silence screamed louder than words, Ethan Hawkins arrives. Different man now. Leads the sanctuary's legal defense team, found his calling in protecting rather than persecuting. Marshall. Miss Aria. New family just arrived, from the mining towns. Father died in cave-in, company trying to evict them. Mother. Hasn't spoken since the accident, Aria nods. Bring them up. We'll start with tea, let silence settle. Words will come when they're ready. She moves to prepare, each gesture practiced, each movement purposeful. 5 years of healing others, 5 years of teaching choice. Wyatt watches her work, thinks of that night. The storm, the choice, the woman, who spoke 2 words and changed everything. Thank you, she'd said. And he'd thought she was thanking him, but now he knows better. She was thanking freedom, thanking voice, thanking the chance to choose her silence instead of having it chosen for her. The new family arrives, broken, scared, silent in grief. Aria greets them. No words at first, just gentle presence, just patient understanding, just space to be. The children clutch their mother. The mother clutches nothing, eyes vacant, voice stolen by loss. Aria begins to draw, Simple things, flowers, birds, sunrise, pushes paper to the children, offers crayons. Slowly they join, drawing their father, drawing their home, drawing their pain. The mother watches, something stirring, hands moving slightly, wanting, needing. Arya slides paper to her. No pressure, no expectation, just possibility. The woman's hand shakes, takes the pencil, draws one thing, a heart. Broken, but there. It's enough. It's beginning. It's hope. Evening falls on Butuan. The sanctuary glows. Every window lit. Every room full. Every silence honored. Every voice heard. Wyatt stands in the garden, where death once ruled, where cherry blossoms now drop petals like pink snow. Before we close, where has this story found you? What silences need breaking in your own life? A figure approaches, Judge Scarlett Freeman, first female federal judge in the territories, Arya's contemporary, voice of legal change. Marshall, thought you should know, the Ramos Act passed unanimously. Even the opposition couldn't argue with 200,000 testimonies. 200,000. From 40 souls in one sanctuary, the mathematics of movement, the geometry of justice, Arya appears, stands between them. 3 architects of a new world. We did it. Scarlett speaks, changed the law. Arya signs, speaks soft. No, we changed hearts. Laws follow hearts, not the other way around. She's right, always is. About the deeper truths, about what really matters. The sanctuary bells ring. Evening ceremony, where new arrivals are welcomed, where graduates leave to build new sanctuaries, where the cycle continues, they walk together. Marshal, judge, teacher, through gardens that grow where violence once ruled, past windows that glow where darkness once reigned, into the great hall, hundreds gathered, silent by choice, until the moment comes, the moment of witness. Together they speak. Or sign, or draw, or simply stand, each in their way, each in their truth, the chorus of the once voiceless, now voiced by choice. We are here, we survived. We choose when to speak. We choose when to stay silent. We choose. The words echo, through the hall, through the town, through the territories, through time. And somewhere in that echo lives the memory of a mute widow who spoke 2 words and changed the world. Thank you for listening, for hearing, for choosing justice over order, for making silence a choice, not a sentence. The ceremony ends, people disperse, but the work continues, will always continue, as long as silence is used as a weapon. As long as voices are stolen by fear. Arya returns to her room, sits at her desk, picks up a pencil, begins to draw. New testimonies to document, new voices to free, new sanctuaries to build. The work of a lifetime, chosen freely, lived fully. Outside, Butuan sleeps, peaceful, changed, a town that learned to listen, a town that chose compassion over control, where Gallows once stood, cherry blossoms bloom, where silence once meant death, it now means choice, where one woman's voice broke free and taught a world to hear. The story ends where it began, with a question. What would you do if your voice was stolen, but your hands could speak louder than words? Now you know. You'd change the world. One silence at a time, one choice at a time, one voice at a time, until justice doesn't just listen, it understands. If this story moved you, like, share, and subscribe. Let's break the silences that need breaking and honor the ones that give us strength.